Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Wisdom Artificial Intelligence. So, today is June 25th, and I'm bringing you this from my desk. As you can see, I'm back in my US men's national team colors. Today is the final game that US is playing in the group stages. They've already qualified for the next round, so looking forward to catching that later on in the evening. Today was a busy morning. I had a session along with another of my colleagues talking about founders' mindset with a group of entrepreneurs that we conducted as a part of series of webinars, and it was a very enjoyable discussion. We ended up covering a lot of points that we do cover through the RASHMI.ai this series as well as through seeds. Do check that out if you get a chance. Now let's go ahead get started for today. Today's dose of Rashmi is: an organization leading by logical intellect alone is bound to operate as a hierarchy and is going to lead based on the mental model of the highest individual paid person's opinion. An integrated intelligence organization, on the other hand, leads with the clarity of the collective intelligence of the entire team, pursuing what emerges out of what they collectively care for and performing aligned action towards that. So, I've talked about the highest individual paid person's opinion earlier in this series, and today it makes a return. And it is very fitting because we ended up talking about this even in the webinar earlier today. And I had arrived at this dose of Rashmi independently, not in the context of the webinar today. However, if you think about when we are leading by logical intellect, because intellect is a wonderful tool for measuring and comparing. So it is logical to break everything into an hierarchy. And in a hierarchy, the person who's at the top of the hierarchy, their opinion carries much more weight, the way a hierarchy functions. And now, if you look around, you will recognize that the era that we live in right now, there is so much polarization and everybody believes their own version of reality. There is very little shared reality that exists anymore. And this is true for the smartest of the people, as well as people who may not have as much access to the information as some of the smartest of the people. Everybody kind of lives in their own bubble. So when you are part of an organization purely operating on logical intellect alone, what ends up happening is the entire organization is a projection of the mental model of the highest individual paid person's opinion. And if you are lower down in the hierarchy, you are effectively doing work as per whatever reality that the people at the top of the hierarchy see, and you are just expected to be a worker bee and execute as a resource. So, and that's why we even have terms like human resources. However, humans were not really meant to be resources. We became resources through the industrial era where we needed to build these scalable businesses where the people at the top of the hierarchy, they made all the decisions and everybody else just executed to whatever their vision strategy was. And this is where I've talked about in this series the difference between leadership and management. Management thrived when we all needed to just act as resources. And now AI offers us a wonderful opportunity because with AI, we have technology which is better at doing repeatable cognitive tasks than any human being. So let's use AI to do the repeatable cognitive tasks. So we humans don't have to be resources. We can all be truly inspired by great leaders, not because we have to conform to their opinions, but because they work on aligning all of us towards a shared narrative, shared vision, mission, which is built based on the collective intelligence and the collective clarity that the entire team arrives at, which is based on whatever the team together cares enough for. And the organization, as I've said before, should be a means to deliver that what the team collectively cares for in the external world. And that is effectively wisdom led operating model at an organization level. That is what we are hoping that organizations can get in touch with that clarity using the enterprise mirror. Thank you.